My daughter humiliated me at the party, calling me a fat pig in front of everyone. But everything changed the moment her father-in-law realized who I really was. What happened next left everyone speechless and completely stunned. This story will change how you see respect, money, and family forever. When respect breaks in public, the pain hits different. Let me tell you something. The deepest wounds don't come from strangers. They come from the people you never expected to hurt you. There's a different kind of pain when it happens in public. When you're standing there and suddenly the room goes quiet, people are watching. Some are pretending not to look. Some are enjoying the moment, and you feel it, that shift, that drop in your chest. No one steps in. No one says, that's enough. And in that silence, you feel small. Have you ever felt your worth collapse in a single sentence? Maybe it wasn't a party. Maybe it was at home. Maybe it was in front of relatives, friends, or even your own children. One sentence. That's all it takes. One sentence to make you question everything. You start asking yourself, is this how they really see me? And the worst part is not the words. It's the fact that they felt comfortable saying it out loud. That's when it hits different. Words that don't just hurt, they reveal the truth. Some words don't just hurt. They expose something deeper. You see, not every insult is random. Some words are like cracks in a wall. They show you what's been hiding underneath for a long time. Words are seeds once planted. They don't ask for permission to grow. You hear them once, but they repeat in your mind again and again, late at night, in quiet moments. When you're alone, and you start thinking, was that really just anger? Or was that the truth they've been holding back? There's a difference between someone trying to hurt you and someone revealing how they truly see you. Think about it. What people say in public often reflects what they believed in private. That moment doesn't just sting. It opens your eyes, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The question that changes everything. What was really broken? 150 words. So now you're left with a question that doesn't go away. Was it just an insult? Or was it a reflection of how they truly see you? Because if it was just anger, it would pass. But if it was truth, it changes everything. One moment can shake years of trust. You start replaying memories, conversations, small signs you ignored, times you laughed things off, times you stayed quiet when you shouldn't have. And now it all connects. Let me ask you something. What was really broken in that moment? The relationship or the illusion you were holding on to? Because sometimes pain is not there to destroy you. It's there to wake you up. That moment, as painful as it is, does something powerful. It shifts you from confusion to clarity, from hurt to awareness. And once that shift happens, you can't go back to who you were before, because now you see the truth, the hidden reality. When people judge by appearances, approximately 700 words, the world sees fast but thinks slow. Are you letting it define you? 175 words. Let me tell you something. The world is quick to look, but slow to understand. Before you even open your mouth, people have already made up their minds. They look at your body, your clothes, your face, your status. In seconds, they put you in a box. And the dangerous part is this. If you stay silent, you start to believe that box is real. If you don't define your worth, the world will define it for you. Think about that. Who decided your value, and why did you agree? Was it a comment someone made years ago? Was it a moment where you were laughed at? Was it a time you were ignored? Many people walk into rooms already feeling smaller because they've accepted what others thought about them. But here's the truth. People don't always see clearly. They see quickly. And if you let quick opinions control your life, you will always live below your true level. So the real question is, are you living by truth or by what others assumed about you? Underestimated and overlooked the silent. Strength they miss, 175 words. People often dismiss what they don't understand. If you're quiet, they think you're weak. If you don't show off, they think you have nothing. If you stay calm, they think you lack power. But let me tell you something. Quiet strength is often the strongest kind. Look at real life. The loudest person in the room is not always the strongest. Sometimes the loudest voice is hiding the most fear, and the quiet one, that person is observing, learning, growing. Quiet strength versus loud noise. There's a big difference. Have you been shrinking just because others couldn't see you? Maybe you held back your ideas. Maybe you stayed silent to avoid conflict. Maybe you accepted less because people treated you like less, but just because they didn't see your value doesn't mean it wasn't there. Some of the strongest people are overlooked until the day they rise, and when they do, everyone says the same thing. We didn't see that coming. The mask you wear, are you hiding pain or power? Everyone wears a mask. Some people hide their pain. They smile, they laugh, they act like everything is fine. But inside, they're carrying wounds no one can. See that others hide something even more dangerous? Their power. They stay quiet, not because they're weak, but because they're used to being ignored. They dim their light because they think it makes others comfortable. But let me tell you something. A diamond doesn't shout, it waits for light. Your value doesn't need noise. It needs the right moment. The question is, what are you hiding from the world and why? Are you hiding because you're afraid of being judged? Or because you've been judged before? Many people spend years hiding who they truly are, just to fit into spaces that were never meant for them, but hiding has a cost, because when you hide your power, you also hide your chances. And one day, you wake up and realize you weren't invisible. You were just unseen because you chose to stay in the dark, the price of judgment. What it really costs you judging others may feel easy, but it comes with a price. Every time you look at someone and decide their worth based on what you see, you're not just limiting them, you're limiting yourself, because judgment is a mirror. It reflects your thinking, your limits, your understanding of the world. When you judge others, you reveal your own limits. Think about how many connections are lost because of quick opinions. How many relationships never grow? How many chances are missed? Misrespect, broken trust, lost connections, all because someone decided too quickly. And here's the truth most people don't realize. Every judgment you make builds a wall you'll one day face, because the same way you judge others, someone else is judging you. So the real question is not just how people see you. It's how you see others, because the way you judge the world shapes the world you live in. The breaking point, when respect turns into disrespect, the line you should never let anyone cross. There is one place where you should feel safe. One place where you should feel respected without question. Family. But let's be honest. Sometimes the deepest cuts come from there. Family should protect you, not break you. Respect is not optional. It's the foundation. Without it, everything else falls apart. Love without respect becomes heavy. It becomes painful. It becomes something you carry instead of something that lifts you. Let me ask you something. When did you start accepting what you once rejected? There was a time when you knew your limits, when you knew what was right and wrong, but slowly over time you started letting things slide. A comment here, a joke there, a little disrespect that you ignored. You told yourself, it's okay. It's just how they are. But every time you said that, you moved the line. And now the line is gone. That's the danger. Because once people see you accept less, they don't go back to giving more. They adjust to your silence. It starts small. Then it becomes who they think you are. Disrespect never starts big. It starts small. Almost invisible. A tone, a look, a small comment that feels off, something that makes you uncomfortable. But you ignore it dot, and that's where it grows dot. Small moments turn into patterns. Patterns turn into behavior. And behavior turns into identity. Before you know it, people are treating you in ways you never imagined and acting like it's normal dot. Why? Because you allowed the early signs to pass. Let me ask you something. What have you been tolerating that you shouldn't? Think about it carefully. The small things you ignore today become the big things you suffer tomorrow. People don't suddenly change how they treat you. They slowly build it based on what you accept dot, and one day you wake up and realize, this is not who I am, but by then, they already believe it is. The dangerous silence. You teach people how to treat. You silence is not peace dot, silence is permission. When you stay quiet in moments of disrespect, you're not keeping things calm. You're teaching people a lesson that says, this is okay. You allow it, you accept it. You live with it dot, and then you wonder why it keeps happening. Let me tell you something clearly. If you don't speak, don't expect change. People don't read your mind. They read your reactions. If there's no reaction, they assume there's no problem. This is how disrespect grows in silence, not because people are always bad, but because they were never corrected. And yes, speaking up is uncomfortable dot. Yes, it might create tension, but what's worse? A moment of discomfort or a lifetime of being treated less than you deserve. Because if you don't set the standard, someone else will dot, and their standard will always be lower than yours dot. The moment everything breaks, when you can't take. Anymore, there comes a moment when enough is enough. You feel it building over time. The frustration, the hurt, the silence that you've been carrying. And then one day, it breaks dot, not slowly. Not quietly dot, all at once dot, the words you held back come out. The emotions you buried rise to the surface dot, and suddenly everything changes. People are shocked. They say, why are you reacting like this? But they didn't see the buildup. They didn't feel the weight you were carrying. That moment is not just anger dot, it's clarity dot. It's the point where you finally see things as they are. And once you see clearly, you can't go back to pretending dot. This is where the shift happens, from enduring to deciding, from staying quiet to taking control. Because pain, when it reaches its limit, doesn't just hurt you dot, it wakes you up dot. The twist, when truth walks into the room, someone is always watching. Even when you think no one is, you may think no one notices. You may think your pain, your silence, your struggle is invisible, but let me tell you something. Someone is always watching, not always the people you expect, not always the ones in front of you, but someone sees more than you think. Sometimes it's a stranger. Sometimes it's someone quiet in the corner. Someone who says nothing, but understands everything. The unexpected observer who sees the full picture and hears the powerful part. Silence becomes louder than words, because when you don't react, when you hold your ground, when you stay calm in a moment meant to break you, it speaks dot. It tells a story of strength, a story of control, a story most people don't have. Let me ask you something. What if the moment you felt smallest was the moment you were being seen the most? What if that moment wasn't your weakness, but your proof? Because sometimes the world doesn't notice noise dot, it notices strength. The instant shift when perception changes in seconds, and then something changes dot in a single moment. The energy in the room shifts, the same. People who laughed go quiet dot, the same faces that looked down on you now look again. The same eyes that judged now search for approval. It happens fast dot, too fast dot, and you start to see something clearly. Respect suddenly appears, but not because you changed, because they discovered something about you dot, status dot, money, position, something they didn't know before, and now their behavior changes. Let me ask you something. Why does respect suddenly appear when status is revealed? Why were you not enough before that moment? This is where the truth becomes uncomfortable because it shows you that their respect was never real. It was based on what they could gain, not who you are. And once you see that, you can never look at them the same way again. Respect that arrives. To wait. Why people wait to value. Many people don't respect the journey. They respect the result. They don't see the struggle, the effort, the years of effort behind the scenes. They only react when they see proof, a title, a number, a visible sign, and then suddenly they change. But let me ask you something. Why weren't you enough before they knew more? Were you less of a person before that moment? No. The only thing that changed was their awareness. And that's the problem, because respect that depends on discovery is not real respect. It's delayed. It comes when it's too late, when the damage is already done, when the truth has already been revealed. And now, even if they try to act differently, you remember how they treated you when they thought you had nothing. The truth that hits hard. It was never about you, and finally, the truth hits you. Hard. Clear. Unavoidable. It was never about you. It was never your worth. Never your value. Never your identity. It was their blindness, their limited thinking, their quick judgment, their shallow view. Their judgment says more about them than it ever will about you. So why were you shrinking? Why were you questioning yourself? Why? Were you trying to fit into a space that never truly saw you? Let me tell you something. Stop shrinking for people who refuse to see clearly. Stop explaining yourself to those who already decided your worth without knowing you, because your value does not change based on someone's limited view. And once you understand that, you stop chasing respect and you start standing in your truth. That's where your power begins. You were never the problem. So why did you believe you were? Let me make this clear. You were never the problem, but somewhere along the way you started believing you were. Maybe it was something someone said. Maybe it was how they treated you. Maybe it was the way they looked at you, like you were not enough. And slowly, without even realizing it, you accepted a lie. The lie that you needed to change just to be respected. The lie that your worth depended on someone else's opinion. But here's the truth you avoided. You were never lacking. You were just surrounded by people who couldn't see clearly. Let me ask you something. Who made you question your own worth, and why did you listen? Was it someone who truly understood you? Or someone who judged you without even knowing your full story? Think about it. We often take words from the wrong people and turn them into beliefs, and those beliefs shape how we see ourselves. But just because someone failed to see your value doesn't mean it wasn't their. It just means they didn't have the vision to recognize it. Chasing approval in the wrong places, a battle you can't win. Many people spend years chasing approval, trying to be liked, trying to be accepted, trying to be enough for people who have already decided they won't see them that way. And the hardest truth is this: you can't win in places where you were never meant to belong. It's like looking for sunlight in a dark room. No matter how long you wait, no matter how hard you try, it will never appear. So let me ask you something. Why do you keep knocking on doors that never open? Why do you keep trying to prove yourself to people who already made up their minds? In real life, we see this all the time. A person keeps giving more in a relationship where they are not respected. An employee keeps working harder for someone who never appreciates them. A child keeps trying to impress a parent who only points out flaws. And what happens? They get tired, drained, lost, because they're chasing something that was never there. At some point, you have to stop chasing and start choosing where you're seen, Choosing where you are respected. Stop explaining yourself. Your worth is not a debate. You don't owe anyone proof of your value. Let me say that again. You don't owe anyone proof of your value, but many people spend their lives explaining themselves, trying to justify their choices, their personality, their worth. Why? Because they want to be understood by people who already decided not to understand them. If they can't see your value, they don't deserve your explanation. Let that sink in, because every time you explain yourself to the wrong person, you lower your position, you turn your worth into something that needs approval. Let me ask you something. Why are you trying to convince people who already decided? In real life, strong people don't waste time explaining. They show through their actions, and more importantly, they know when to walk away from conversations that go nowhere, because not every misunderstanding needs to be fixed. Some people don't misunderstand you. They just don't value you, and no explanation can change that. Internal power versus external approval. Choose what lasts. There are two ways to feel strong. One comes from within. The other comes from others. The second one is temporary. The first one stays. When your confidence depends on others, it goes up and down. One good comment makes you feel great. One bad comment brings you down. That's not strength. That's dependence. Real strength comes from within. It's when you know who you are. Even if no one else agrees. It's when you stand firm. Even when others doubt you. Self-respect versus people-pleasing. You have to choose, because you cannot have both. Let me ask you something. When will you stop outsourcing your worth? When will you stop handing over your value to people who don't even understand it? In everyday life, you see this clearly. Some people walk into a room and don't need attention, yet they are respected. Why? Because they carry themselves with certainty, not loud, not aggressive. Just clear. And that clarity comes from within. The painful truth about family and respect blood is not a free pass. Respect must still be earned. We grow up believing that family will always treat us right, that no matter what happens, here will always be a basic level of care and respect. But real life doesn't always work that way. Sometimes family can hurt deeper than anyone else because you expect more from them. You trust them more. And when that trust breaks, it cuts deeper. Let me ask you something. Why do we excuse what we would never accept from others? If a stranger spoke to you with disrespect, you would walk away. If a colleague treated you badly, you would set limits. But when it comes to family, you stay quiet. You say, it's okay, they didn't mean it. But deep down, you know it's not okay. Respect is not automatic. It doesn't come just because of a relationship. It comes from behavior. And if the behavior is wrong, the relationship does not justify it. Love without respect, a weak bond that eventually breaks. Many people confuse love with attachment. They think that as long as there is some form of connection, everything else can be ignored. But that's not true. Love without respect is just attachment. And attachment alone is not enough to build something strong, because without respect, love becomes heavy. It becomes something that drains you instead of supporting you. Let me ask you something. Is it love or just fear of letting go? Are you staying because you feel valued, or because you're afraid of what happens if you leave? In real life, many people stay in situations where they are not respected simply because they don't want to lose the connection. But what kind of connection are you protecting if it's hurting you? Real love lifts you. It supports you. It respects you. Anything less than that slowly breaks you. Boundaries are not walls. They are protection. Many people are afraid of setting boundaries. They think it will create distance, conflict, problems. But the truth is, boundaries don't create problems. They reveal them. You teach people how to treat you. Every time you stay silent, every time you accept less, every time you ignore something that feels wrong, you send a message, and that message says, this is okay. Let me ask you something. What boundaries have you been afraid to set, and what has it cost you? Peace, respect, self-worth. Because the longer you avoid setting limits, the more you lose. Respect begins where tolerance ends. That's the line. And once you start setting that line, something interesting happens. Some people will respect it, and others will resist it. But that resistance tells you everything you need to know, because the people who truly respect you will adjust, walking away without leaving. The power of emotional detachment sometimes. You don't need to leave physically, you just need to step back emotionally, because not every situation allows you to walk away completely, but you can still protect yourself. You can stop expecting from people who have shown you their limits. You can stop reacting to things that are meant to pull you down. You can stop depending on their words to feel okay. Let me tell you something. You don't need distance, you need clarity. Clarity about who they are, clarity about what they can give, and clarity about what you should no longer expect. Let me ask you something. What happens when you stop needing their approval? You become lighter, stronger, more in control, because now your peace is not in their hands anymore, and that changes everything. The transformation, reclaiming your power the day you stop seeking approval. Everything changes. There comes a day when something shifts inside you. You stop chasing approval. You stop trying to be liked by everyone, You stop asking for permission to be yourself. And in that moment, everything changes. Freedom begins the moment you stop chasing approval, because now you're not controlled by opinions anymore. You're not adjusting yourself to fit into spaces that don't respect you. Let me ask you something. What could your life look like if you no longer needed permission? Think about the energy you would save, the peace you would feel, the confidence you would carry, because when you stop seeking approval, you start living on your own terms, and that's where real freedom begins. Rebuilding yourself. Small wins that create a new you. 200 words. Change doesn't happen in one big moment. It happens in small steps. Daily decisions. Small actions. Quiet choices that no one sees. That's how you rebuild yourself. You rise, you rebuild, you reclaim, one step at a time. Maybe it starts with speaking up once. When you used to stay silent, maybe it starts with saying no when you used to say yes. Maybe it starts with walking away from something that no longer respects you. Let me ask you something. Are you ready to become someone you respect? Because that's where it starts. Not with what others think, but with how you see yourself. And every small step you take builds that version of you. Strong, not cold, becoming unshaken by opinions. 200 words. There's a difference between being cold and being strong. Being cold means you stop feeling. Being strong means you feel but you don't break. Not emotionless. Just grounded. Like a mountain that doesn't react to the wind. People will talk. People will judge. People will have opinions that will never stop. So let me ask you something. Why let opinions move you when you know who you are? In real life, the strongest people are not the loudest. They are the ones who stay steady, who don't react to every comment, who don't change direction based on every opinion. Because they know their path. And once you reach that point, nothing can shake you. The new standard. Not everyone deserves access to you. 200 words. As you grow, your standards must grow too. Not everyone deserves the same access to you. Not everyone deserves your time, your energy, your attention. Your energy is valuable. Protect it, because the more you give it to the wrong people, the less you have for the right ones. Let me ask you something. Who are you still giving access to that hasn't earned it? Think carefully, because access is not a right. It's something people earn through how they treat you. And once you understand that, everything changes. You stop chasing people. You start choosing them. And that's when your life becomes peaceful, because now you are in control of who gets close and who stays at a distance. The final impact, the truth everyone must carry forward, the lesson they realize too late, respect should never be conditional. There is a lesson many people learn, but they learn it too late. Respect should never depend on money, status, or what someone has done. It should be basic. It should be human. But the truth is, many people don't give respect until they see proof. They wait, they watch. They judge, and only when something changes on the outside, they change on the inside. Let me ask you something. Why does the world wait for proof before offering basic respect? Why does someone have to become something before they are treated right? Think about how many people were ignored until they succeeded. How many were laughed at until they proved everyone wrong. And by the time respect comes, the moment has already passed, because respect given late loses its meaning. The cost of valuing people too late is heavy. Broken trust, lost connection, distance that can't be repaired, because once one sees how you treated them at their lowest, they never forget it. The question that will follow you, who are you trying to impress? At the end of it all, one question stays. It follows you. It stays in your mind. Who are you trying to prove yourself to, and why? Think about how much energy you've spent trying to impress people, trying to be accepted, trying to fit in, trying to be enough in someone else's eyes. It's exhausting, because no matter how much you do, it never feels complete. There's always something more, something missing. That's the trap. You keep running, but you don't reach anywhere. Let me tell you something clearly. The moment you stop needing approval, everything changes. You stop adjusting yourself. Stop chasing attention. You stop losing yourself just to be accepted. And suddenly, you feel lighter, more free. Because now you're not living to impress. You're living to be real. Protect your worth, or watch the world undervalue you. If you don't protect your value, people will discount it. That's not just a line. That's a truth you see every day. People treat you based on what you allow. If you accept less, they give less. If you stay silent, they go further. Standards create respect. Lack of standards invites disrespect. It's that simple. Let me ask you something. Where have you been lowering your worth just to be accepted? Was it in a relationship, a friendship, a family situation? Did you stay quiet to keep the peace? Did you accept things that didn't feel right just to avoid conflict? Every time you do that, you send a message that says, this is enough for me. But deep down, it's not. And that's where the problem begins, because the world doesn't raise your value for you. You set it. And once you start protecting it, everything around you changes. The final truth, stand tall, even if you stand alone at the end of everything. This is the truth you must carry. Stand tall, even if you have to stand alone, because not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will respect you. Not everyone will see your value, but that does not change who you are. So remember this. Repeat it until it becomes part of you. Know your worth. Stand your ground. Never shrink to fit someone else's limited vision. Let those words stay with you. Let them guide your choices. Let them shape how you walk into every room from now on, because once you truly understand your worth, you stop bending, you stop chasing, you stop accepting less. And here's the final realization. The world didn't change when they discovered your wealth. It changed when you stopped accepting their blindness.